He was the best hacky sacker I ever saw. Welcome everyone. This is Wednesday, March 21st, first day of spring. So happy spring to everybody out there. Spring equinox, vernal equinox, 12 hours of sunlight. We get more sunlight, yay! And 12 hours, so it's half and half. And we're moving toward the sun. So this would be a little celebration of the sun. And wherever you are out there, this will be dedicated to the best hacky sacker. So all the hacky sackers out there, get those hacky sacks going. We want to see those feet dancing in the air, and we want to dedicate this to Will Wingett, from Detroit, Michigan, who was the best hacky sacker I ever saw. That dude was a freaking unbelievable. So here is dedicated to Will Wingett. So Will Wingett, okay, and happy spring. It's Odin's Day, so it sets up real nice. We have a nice day today. It's got a lot of sunshine, and may peace, some little bit of peace be on your mind as we gather around this electronic campfire and share a little bit of the golden eternity of an hour. And with that in mind, I will share with you a little piece that I have just composed called the Chrysalis of Desire. So, in celebration of spring, let's breathe in a little bit, and go low and go slow. If we come into this place, there is a reason. For this season doth bring spring, a slow floating ember, a twig, a log. It's starting to move. The ice floes are loosing their stored up winter's treasure, and the ring in spring brings wandering for no good reason whatsoever, and we wander into wonder like a magical child. For the luck of the Irish is more than luck. It's a way of being. It's a way of our being here now in spring. It's a way of letting go, just like our ice flow that lets go. It loosens and lets go. And into the Tao of now. The watercourse way. The Irish soul is healed and sealed in water. The mists of Ire, E-I-R-E, is an island of sonic landscapes, trickling in yonder emerald crystal springs. The chrysalis of desire, as we are in a caterpillar world, facing unnecessary metamorphosis. And this whole upstart spring is a planetary thing in the here and now of this watercourse flow. And this is an aho moment, the I-thou to the here and now, a relatedness of our being to green and all things unseen. This is our liminal song in luminous flora and fauna, from the river Liffey to New Melleray Creek, to Musquawaqua, into the green, into the green, into the green, and into this green we bring everything positive we've been storing up in our lodges, in the winter count, this long, long interlude of time, woven deep into our chalice well, the awakening, the eternal returning. Sing through the green, all is well, all is well, all is well. By the sun and the green, we find glimmerings of a higher union. In that light, in the light, in the love, in the glory of this crown of creation, dancing before us in little child feet on the floor of the forest, as we step into fields of wonder, of magical child at play in deep ecstasy. This is what the Master meant, dear friend. We are in Lent right now, and this is what the Master meant when he said, first you must become as children to enter the kingdom, the magical child kingdom of all of nature, dancing this rebirthing prayer back into our lives so we can realize how beautiful we truly are here in the desire of ire. Ah, redemption song. Aho. This is a piece that I composed just about an hour or so ago, and it's called The Chrysalis of Desire for a reason. For in the interwoven first half of this piece, it is stated that we are in a caterpillar world facing a necessary metamorphosis. So let's image that. We are living in a caterpillar world facing a necessary metamorphosis. That is the theme of this spring greening event of GreenFire. The caterpillar world is the world of competition. And competition brings duality, ego. It also brings fear, hatred, war, separation, alienation, and isolation. Competition used to work, but that system, the capitalist system, any competition system of dualism, that as the absolute heart chakra center of Darwin's theory of survival of the fittest, which is the lowest count denominational level you can be on, where everybody is out competing, clubbing each other, killing each other, taking over, stealing, developing greed. All the negative values and qualities of humanity are bound up in competition. I'm not talking sports here, but at the higher levels of sports, you bet I'm talking right on. Same level of grind them down and get your bucks. Well, that is the caterpillar world that we're living in right now. We're living in this caterpillar world, and we are facing absolutely, with global warming and all kinds of weather events and other events as well, a necessary metamorphosis. And that metamorphosis will be our birthing into the butterfly of cooperation. So that implies and embodies the divine feminine, where compassion, caring, and concern for others are primary reasons and primary values that are plugged in before any action is taken. The world of competition is where plunder, pillage, rape of the ecosystem, women, war, killing, all of that is in the death throes of that dinosaur world of competition. Call it capitalism. So this implies economic, philosophical, spiritual, emotional, psychological, social, all elements and levels of human existence. The being of being human is necessary now to move from the caterpillar into the chrysalis, through the chrysalis into the caterpillar, and then into the butterfly. And into the butterfly is the metamorphosis that is essential that we're facing right now as a planetary alignment unfolds. And so we move as midwives okay? We're midwives in this planetary birthing event of moving into the butterfly, from the caterpillar to the butterfly. And we're here for a purpose, and if you want to know, we're part of the planetary cleanup crew. That's part of what we are, and that's what we do. If we need the dumpster dive, so be it. And we're part of the planetary cleanup crew, which is moving beyond, through and beyond competition into the world of cooperation. And the planetary cleanup crew implies that we're midwives, planetary midwives in this Earth birthing event, moving from the caterpillar to the butterfly. And so what we'll apply here is planetary CPR, planet conservation, preservation, and restoration. The CPR that will lead us to and into the butterfly event called cooperation. And so these are not little times that we're living in. The implications and the perturbations and the ripples effects of what we do have now what is called the butterfly effect. And that could be clear across the planet on some other part of the earth that we don't even know exists. That butterfly effect, what we do here could have that impact over there. And so the invitation of the image of a spiral, even as the circle closes and it comes around at just the higher, little bit higher level, which becomes a spiral, which is really essential for an epigenetic event that we're talking about, epigenetics here. And that from the closing circle that moves just a little bit above that into a spiral dance, going upward, spiral dance. That is the cooperation event, which embodies the divine feminine being activated through cooperation, concern, and compassion and caring. Cooperation, compassion, concern, and caring. Those are the parentheses within cooperation. Cooperation. So that will be the new operating system, the OS for the new Earth birthing here. And this spring awakening is not just an awakening on a biological level. It's also awakening on a neocortex level and the global brain level, where we awaken to a higher understanding of who we truly are. And in order to understand, we don't live in a fact-based world of data and IT and all the techno gadgets that are around. That's technical and that's mechanical. That's not a mechanical universe we're talking about here. We're talking about a deep ecological awareness and awakening of humanity as one. And that is simply the largest soul stride that we will ever take from competition and capitalism into cooperation and alignment with ecosystem and bioregional values. So it's a shifting from anthropocentric or human-centered thinking, which is based on competition, and Darwin's theory of the survival of the fittest. And we're going to move beyond that. And we're moving into the biocentric or ecocentric, where the alignment of what we do is how will this impact the seventh generation to come, but will also, through cooperation and sustainability and recycling and renewables, will be in alignment with ecosystem values and the laws of nature, land, air, and water, the airshed, the watershed, and the soil, which is the bioregional way of thinking, which is ecocentric, where nature is legislature, not anthropocentric, where we have these geopolitical mind maps of countries and so on, which gets us into the ego-based stuff where we have to defend ourselves and have armies and all that stuff. And then after that, with enough saber rattling and enough fear-based reality, force people to get into wars that they don't want and kill each other. So that we're going to leave the land of war, especially nuclear war, all things nuclear, behind here. We're moving into beyond nuclear thinking, beyond a world beyond war is where we're at. And that shifting will then imply moving from the Darwinian lowest denominator, very much scientific materialism, into a survival of the fittest, into an ecocentric, more sentient, compassionate centered thinking, which would be survival of the wisest. So like survival of the fittest might have been good for the dinosaur age, but the dinosaur age is leaving us behind, and we're moving out of that dark terminal illness of the Cenozoic and into the bright light of the Ecozoic, or the first human co-created event of creation on planet Earth in planet history, which is planetary, developing a planetary mind. And that means ecocentric thinking, which is known as entrance, doing the great work, an entrance into the Ecozoic, a human co-created ecological and geological and sociological event of planet Earth birthing of a new human. Humans in cooperation with the Earth, notice, and humans in cooperation with each other. And also for the 7th generation yet to come. That all implies an epigenetic basis of science, and so there's a new biology and a new science being unfolded here through the bioregional vision and epigenetics, not based on what one would call dystopia or anthropic thinking. No, it's not dark and it's not terminal like the Cenozoic. So we're in the Cenozoic, we're moving out of that into the Ecozoic. So this is where the great work begins. And with that in mind, we'll have just a little sharing of current events, I guess you could call it. And so here's a little thing called "It's a Bad Day for Rex Tillerson." This is a bad day for pipelines and export terminals and tankers and coal trains. This is a bad day for the Koch brothers and Rex Tillerson of ExxonMobil and anyone else who would trade the life-supporting systems of the earth for short-term profits. This is a bad day for the universities that are holding on to their last investments in fossil fuels, insisting on their right to profit from death and extinction, even as their own scientists warn them that fossil fuels will carry the world smoking and stinking to the end of life as we know it on this planet. This is the last day for despair. It is the last day to say it's too late, that there is nothing anyone can do. It is a day to awaken to the fact that we are not helpless at all, that we have the knowledge and the courage and the joyous communities it will take to make the great turning away from the death of the Cenozoic and toward a reinvented life in the Ecozoic of cooperation. This is the last day for lies and excuses and delay. It is the last term in office for elected officials who will not or cannot protect the future, the 7th generation yet to come. It is the last day that anyone can be silent without climate change, about climate change. And so this is a good day for the hoofed, the winged, and the winged ones. It's a great day for the small children of all species, a great day for ice and oceans, a great day for reliable rain. This is a great day for justice and the right of all beings to clean air, clean energy, healthy food, and fresh water. This is a great day for sanity and imagination. Imagine a world without wars for oil, dear friend. This is the 15th anniversary. Actually, in 2001, we went into Afghanistan, 2003, that's 15 years ago, and this March day, pretty much this very day, we invaded Iraq over lies that Colin Powell told. Imagine a world without the din and dirt of internal combustion engines. Imagine democracy without the corrupting wealth of coal barons. Imagine a world powered as plants are powered by the sun and the green. Today is the day when everything changes. In every struggle for justice, there is a turning point, a tipping point, when what was once unimaginable becomes inevitable. It is the day when the people pour into the street to reclaim their futures. And this spring day, dear friend, and the future of all the glorious lives on earth, life is not a commodity to be bought and sold, wrecked and ransacked, for the immense but short-term profit of a few sullen and frightened men. The profusion of life is a sacred trust for the 7th generation yet to come, a great and glorious gift to be honored and protected, and passed along intact and singing to the next generations of all living things. Aho, Plamiya, Bintakwiyasan. For the 7th generation is what we're talking about here. So this is a bad day for Rex Tillerson, but a good day for planet Earth and all the species and beings on Mother Earth who believe in cooperation and sustainability. And this is the Earth birthing of this spring day. Aho. And up in Oregon, where I went to school for a long time, at the University of Oregon, that's where I was also involved in Earth First and the White Train movement, and also with the Namiyoho, Renge Kyo, the Nichiren monks, to shut down nuclear weapons and all things nuclear on planet Earth and move beyond the nuclear age of King Kong, coal, oil, nuclear, and gas. And I learned a lot out there. And Oregon has always been a template for new Earth thinking and Earth ascension of sentient beings, of compassion and cooperation with Mother Earth. And so there's a bodhisattva presence. And in Oregon, there was a thing called the Blue River Declaration. We will cover some of the Blue River Declaration as we speak. A truly adaptive civilization will align its ethics with the ways of the earth. A civilization that ignores the deep constraints of its world will find itself in exactly the situation we face now, on the threshold of making the planet inhospitable to humankind and other species. The question of our time are thus: what is our best current understanding of the nature of the world? What does that understanding tell us about how we might create a concordance between ecological and moral principles, and thus imagine an ethic that is of rather than against the earth? What is the world? In our time, science, religious traditions, Earth's many cultures, and artistic insights are all converging on a shared understanding of the nature of the world. The earth is our home. It will always be our only source of shelter, sustenance, and inspiration. There is no other place for us to go. The earth is part of the creative unfolding of the universe. From the raw materials of the stars, life sprang forth and radiated into species after species, including human beings. The human species is richly varied, with a multitude of persons, cultures, and histories. We humans are kin to one another and to all the other beings on the planet. We share common ancestors and common substance, and we will share a common fate. Like humans, other beings are not merely commodities or service providers. but have their own intelligence, agency, and urging toward life. We live in a world of nested systems. Living things are created and shaped by their relationships to others and to the environment. No one is merely an isolated ego in a bag of skin, but something more resembling a note in a multidimensional symphony. The world is dynamic at every scale, by processes that are probabilistic and often unpredictable. The world unfolds into emergent states of being. Our time of song and suffering is one such point in time. The life systems of the world can be resilient, having the ability to endure through change. But change creates cascades of new events. When small changes build up and cross thresholds, sudden large transformations can occur. Thus, the world in its present form, the world we love and inhabit, is contingent. It may be, or it may cease to be. If the earth changes in ways that undermine our lives, there is nothing we can do to change it back. The earth is finite in its resources and capacities. All its inhabitants live within its limitations and by its rules. And although life on earth is resilient and robust, rapid irreversible changes and mass extinction events have occurred in the past. As a result of ignoring the Earth's boundaries, we are causing a new transformation of the Earth and the sixth mass extinction of its beings. Our knowledge of the Earth will always be incomplete, but we know that the world is beautiful. Its life forms, unique in the universe, are wonderful in their grandeur and detail. It follows that the world is worthy of reverence, is worthy of awe, and worthy of care. Who are we humans? We humans have become who we are through a long process of biological and cultural evolution. As do many other social species, we possess a complex and sometimes contradictory set of possibilities. We are competitive and cooperative, callous and empathetic, destructive and healing, intuitive and rational. Moreover, we are creatures of consciousness, emotion, and imagination, beings through whom the universe has evolved the capacity to celebrate its own beauty and explore its own meaning in the language of science, art, culture, and story, especially poetry. We are dependent on the sun and the earth for everything. Without warmth, air, water, and fellow beings, we would quickly die. At the same time, we are co-creators of the earth as we know it, shaping with our decisions the future of the places we inhabit, even as our relations to those places shape us. In this way, we are members of a community of interdependent parts. Humans are beings who search for meaning. Our beliefs about the origins of the cosmos influence the way we relate to each other and to other beings, and to the inhabitants we both depend upon and constitute. Sometimes we experience wonder and awe at the mysteries of the universe and fall silent in reverence. Yet, as we strive to comprehend the world, we often divide it into hierarchies of value: pure, impure, spiritual, material, human, subhuman. Although we often exclude and exploit those we judge less valuable than ourselves, we yearn for belonging. We are born to care. From the first moments of our lives, we seek connection. We deeply value loving and being loved. We find comfort in close connection to other people, other species, and to the wild world itself. Wild Oregon, wilding Iowa. We're adaptive and resilient. We can go out howling with the wolves, and we rebirth ourselves. We can run with the hunt. Our imagination gives us the ability to envision alternative futures and to adopt our behaviors toward their achievement. When we are at our best, we develop cultural systems in which we, other living beings, and ecosystems can flourish. We are moral beings. We have the capacity to reason about what is better and worse, just and unjust, worthy and demeaning. And we have the capacity to act in ways that are better, more just, more worthy, more beautiful. We have that capacity. Because we are these things, we can change. We can become adaptive. Because we are these things, change will be difficult. How then shall we live? Humanity is called to imagine an ethic that not only acknowledges but emulates the ways by which life thrives on earth. Develop a system of compassion for all sentient beings. How do we act when we truly understand that we live in complete dependence on the earth that is interconnected, interdependent, finite, and resilient? Given that life on earth is interconnected, we are called to affirm that all flourishing is mutual and that damage to the part entails damage to the whole. Accordingly, our values and our virtues are cooperation, respect, prudence, foresight, and judgment. We have the responsibility to honor our obligations to future generations of all beings and take their interests into account when we reflect on all beings and the consequences of our actions. To discount the future, to take all we need for our own well-being, and leave nothing for others is unthinkable. We should only take what the earth offers and leave as much and as good as we take. To live by a principle of reciprocity, giving as we receive, recreates the richness of life even as we partake of it. Then our harvests are respectful and thoughtful. We learn to listen, which means that we learn to value congeniality. We learn to value patience, fairness, and moral courage, which creates the possibility of heroism in the face of disagreement and discord. Moreover, this new Blue River ethic calls us to remedy destructive distributions of wealth and power. It is wrong when some are made to bear the risks of the recklessness of others, or assume the burden of others' privilege, or pay with their health and hopes the real cost of destructive practices. Given that humanity is inescapably dependent on the earth for gifts both material and spiritual, we are called to be grateful and humble. To be grateful is to express joy for the fertility of the earth, to be attentive to its gifts, to celebrate its bounty, and to accept responsibility for its care. Humility is based on an understanding of our own roots in the soil. We recognize the danger we face and the damage we do when we get that wrong. So, we are well advised to be humble about our claims to knowledge, and with art and heart and science to strive for continuous learning that is open to evidence from all ways of knowing and from the earth itself. The generosity of the earth models generosity in our relations with others and calls for collective outrage when we fail in that duty. A new ethic calls us to defend and nurture the regenerative potential of the earth, to return Earth's generosity with our own healing gifts of mind, body, emotion, and spirit. We can find joy and justice in sustaining lives that sustain our own. Given that the Earth's resources and resilience are finite, human flourishing depends on embracing a new ethic of self-restraint to replace a destructive ethos of excess. Greed is not a virtue. Rather, the endless and pointless accumulation of wealth is a social pathology and a terrible mistake, with destructive social, spiritual, and ecological consequences. Limitless economic growth as a measure of human well-being is inconsistent with the continuity of life on Earth. It should be replaced by an economics of regeneration. Simple lifestyles that include thriftiness, beauty, community, and sharing are pathways to happiness. Celebrated virtues are generosity and resourcefulness. Continuing on with the Blue River Declaration. Given that life on Earth is resilient, humanity can take courage in Earth's power to heal. We can find guidance in the fullness and the richness of diverse cultures and ecosystems, biodiversity and cultural diversity, if we honor and protect that diversity. Equality and justice are necessary conditions for civilizations that endure. And truth-telling has strong regenerative power. Virtues we can embody are human courage, creative imagination, and perseverance in the face of long odds. The effect of humans on the land can be healing. Our obligation is to imagine into existence new ways to live that create resilient and robust habitats. To enter re-inhabitory time with those resilient and robust habitats. If we can undo some of the damage we have done, this is the best work available to us. On the other hand, damaging the natural resources of resilience, degrading oceans, atmospheres, soil, biodiversity, is both foolhardy and an offense against the future, not worthy of us as rational and moral beings. If hope fails us, the moral abdication of despair is not an alternative. Beyond hope, we can inhabit the wide moral ground of personal integrity, matching our actions to our moral convictions. Through conscientious decisions, we can refuse to be made into instruments of destruction. We can make our lives and our communities into works of art that express our deepest values. The necessity of achieving a concordance between ecological and moral principles and the new ethic born of this necessity calls into question far more than we might think. It calls us to question our current capitalist economic systems, our educational systems, our food production systems, our systems of land use and ownership. It calls us to re-examine what it meant to be happy, what it means to be happy, and what it means to be smart. Remember, Kropotkin said, property is theft. This will not be easy, but new futures are continuously being imagined and tested, resulting in new social and ecological possibilities. This questioning will release the power and beauty of the human imagination to create more collaborative economies, more mindful ways of living, and more deeply felt arts and more inclusive processes that acknowledge the ways of life of all beings. In this sheltering home, we can begin to restore both the natural world and the human spirit. In this sheltering, re-inhabitory time of this sheltering home, we can begin to restore both the natural and the human spirit. So this is the statement of the Blue River Declaration, which was made in Oregon in the last 10 years. And the Blue River is the river that runs from the Santiam Pass down through the western side of the Cascade Mountains, and it joins the Willamette River just before going into Eugene. And so this is a high Cascade summit event where a declaration for the planet itself And there have been other declarations, but it's the most recent iteration called the Blue River Declaration. I highly encourage you to look that up. The Blue River Declaration is Blue River, Oregon, and read it and begin to inhabit and compost that rich detritus for the future of Mother Earth and the planet itself. So here we are in this chrysalis of desire, moving from ire, the chrysalis of desire of ire, which is GreenFire itself, Ireland. And we'll do a little thing for spring equinox. The hidden moon, slender, lovely, laughing, crescent blesses in her luminous joy. Now day and night are of equal length everywhere in the world. In the northern hemisphere we celebrate the first day of spring. The southern hemisphere welcomes autumn. Roots chanting slow canticles of resurrection. Roots chanting slow canticles of resurrection feel fresh energies and send banners to the light. The goddess, in her fertile light-bearing form, infuses the world with her vitality, new minted color, and dancing energies, as if it were the first day of the world. Shoots and leaves unfurl and animals lift their heads, and they feel life's force in their bodies. We stir and stretch our bodies, our hearts, our minds, and souls, reach for fresh days of love, our dreams, and each other. We seek to heal and bless losses sustained in the dark time and everywhere in the world. Go quietly. Death has been here. We renew our hearts and widen the spaciousness of our loving. We begin again to dream, to weave the work of our hands, and in our hearts to revision the world and refresh ourselves, for we are the green shoots of renewal in this wild flower mandala of this vernal equinox. And this is a little joy of the journey. And here is Artemis with her bow and arrow, shooting through the forest. The bones of Boudica. Do I live on? I, Boudica, the breath of the dragon, harmonics in the ley lines. Hear my name on my daughter's lips, a song, evocation, battle cry. My words, a voice from the past that still rings true. Consider what you are fighting for and why. Then you will win this battle or perish. This is what I will do. No one knew my daughters survived me in battle. They ran like the oracle hare from the folds and ran my body to a cave and saved my bones. My daughters hid me, arranged me, and honored me as mother, as warrior queen, safe from the crows, the pike, dishonor. Free bones in a dry cave, calcifying, fossilizing. Free bones in a dry cave, calcifying, fossilizing. Ages swung by like supernovas while I transmogrified. Ages swung by like supernovas while I transmogrified. Another star is born, orbs and spheres. An everlasting wheel spins as I, Boudica, vessel of the sovereign goddess, wait for rebirth in the crystal chariot of my sacred secret bones. My daughters' coalesce into multitudes, take a stand, march as one, and the world of dynasties and empires turns beneath their bodacious feet. The moon eclipses, the ride goes out, silver crescent in the Albion sea, my crystal bones an altar to the daughters of forever. The sentient goddess looks through my eyes, an ancient infant stepping out into a brave new world. and that's the bones of Boudica. And in this Aries, we've moved into Aries now. And Aries, you have an interesting year ahead. Chiron prepares to enter your sign as Uranus seeks to exit it. This year you'll be discovering new aspects of yourself to heal and new ways to facilitate that healing. You may also let go of stale ideas of who you are and how you operate in this 3D reality. Dig deep and feel the impulses rising from your primal essence of self. Not your ego, not what you think you want, something far deeper aligned with your unique spark of consciousness. The North and South nodes in Leo and Aquarius remind you to find room for play while enjoying the company of friends who stimulate your mind. Bringing joy and creativity in your life makes you a more grounded receptor of cosmic energies. Bringing joy and creativity in your life makes you a more grounded receptor of cosmic energies. Jupiter in Scorpio helps you grow through your relationship with shadow. Syzygy. It's a wonderful time to journey to the dark side, discover its healing and nurturing gifts. Approach with integrity and surrender. This is a year for you to make bold strides toward creating the change you want to see at the material level of reality. Think career, legacy, and reputation as Saturn and Pluto transit Capricorn, along with the South Node from November onwards. Between this November and January 2019, a profound cardinal T-square with the North Node in Cancer, South Node in Capricorn, and Uranus in Aries will ignite pivotal life changes to your sense of self, family life, and the career you choose or leave. Set seeds to awaken a new, more aligned you during the Aries new moon in April. In connections to Uranus and Pluto, witness some of these seeds emerge during the Aries full moon in September. It's a monumental year of change for you. Just a brief glance at the year for Aries. And in the moon communion, moon communion. You hang perfectly in the night sky, consecrating Earth and all her inhabitants. You hang perfectly in the night sky, consecrating Earth and all her inhabitants. Ah, moon communion, spring equinox, and the Tao is born. That is a beautiful little sign, that Tao. And so, in that sense, we will return to the Chrysalis of Desire, which is a beautiful song. On the brink. There are many ways to change the world. Worlds within, worlds untold, or simply a blue planet we have all yet to embrace as home. Some whisper, some wait, some hold the space for change, and some push through. We are all in it together, this mad, whirling dance of chaos, each playing a role dependent on the other. In this making change time, the new moon in Pisces, and the sun in Aries, and the full moon in Libra on March 31st. And some push through, and we are all in this together in this mad, whirling dance of chaos, each playing a role dependent on the other. Here's to the whisperers who nudge the currents ever so slightly, a little here, a little there. In time it becomes a wave, a ripple, a roar. Here's to the waiters who tell us something new will come, just bide our time. Watching from afar, in faith they watch a new reality unfold. What will it be? Who knows? Here's to the space holders, the vessels, the cosmic dancers, the cosmic containers that focus the dance. the mad dance of death and creation, in body, in breath, in life, in death. Lakshmi, Shakti, Kali, Sarasvati, behold the body chambers. And here's to the pushers, the fools, the heroes, the heroines, who walk the path of the burning blade, dancing, dreaming, screaming, heaving on the edge of change, a precarious path one can celebrate or simply target. Here's to us all right now on the brink of change, doing each one of us a fractal of our own luminous light work. So that is an aura of the facet of spring. And so we return to the chrysalis of desire. If we come into this place, there is a reason. For this season doth bring spring, a slow floating ember, a twig, a log. In this season, let us go low and let us go slow. The ice flows, and in this slow floating, it's starting to move. The ice flows, losing their stored up winter's treasure, loosening and losing their stored up winter's treasure. And the ring in spring brings wandering, for no good reason whatsoever, into wonder. For the luck of the Irish is more than luck. It is a way of being. It is a way of our being here now in spring. It is a way of letting go, just like our ice flow of stored up desire into the Tao of now. Ah, the watercourse way. The Irish soul is healed and sealed in water. The mists of ire is an island of sonic landscapes, trickling in yonder emerald crystal springs, the chrysalis of desire, as we are in a caterpillar world facing a necessary metamorphosis. And this whole upstart spring is a planetary thing in the here and now of this watercourse flow is an aho moment, the I and thou to the here and thou, a relatedness of our being to green and all things unseen. This is our liminal song in a luminous sky. From River Liffey to New Melleray Creek, to Musquawakwa, into the green, and into this green we bring everything positive, healing energies we've been storing up in our lodges in the winter count. This long, long interlude of time woven deep into our chalice well, the awakening, the eternal returning, singing through the green, all is well, all is well, all is well. By the sun in the green, we find glimmerings of a higher union in the light, in the love, in the glory. We sing and we find a higher union in the light, in the love, in the glory. And in the Tao of this now, in the light, in the love, in the glory of this crown of creation, dancing before us in little child feet, dancing before us in little child feet, as we step into the fields of wonder, of magical child at play, in the deep ecstasy. In the deep ecstasy, this is what the Master meant when he said, first you must become as children to enter the kingdom. The magical child kingdom of all of nature, dancing this rebirthing prayer back into our lives so we can realize how beautiful we truly are. Here is the desire of ire, dancing this very day, this luminous veritas vernal green day of the vernal equinox of spring, from the River Liffey to the New Melleray Creek, to Musquawakwa, to the Iowa River, to the spring green. And this this Tao of now is a little bit of breath. Breathing in love, breathe out peace. Breathe in peace, breathe out love. Breathe in love, breathe out peace. And this will help the Great Awakening as well as the turning of the gyre, of the desire of ire. And we might say we could find 13 good reasons to save the world. First, think about the consequences that acting or failing act. Okay, one good reason to save the world: we must act for the sake of human life and thriving. This is as basic as it gets. If human life and thriving are fundamental values, and if climate disruption will have terrible costs in human lives and prospects, then we have a moral obligation to avert climate disruption, dear friend. There are those who deny the value of human life, arguing that the earth would be better off with the hominoid plague, as they call us, the hominoid plague, and there are those who deny the dangers of climate change. But if you value human lives and fear climate change, there is no excuse for not acting. Okay, a second one: we must act for the sake of the children, for the 7th generation yet to come. It may be their innocence, it may be their promise, children holding the future of the human race in their little bodies. It may be our love for them. Or maybe it's just the driving force of evolution. The urge to leave something of ourselves to the world. For whatever reasons, humankind shares a universal moral imperative to prevent harm to children. But we are harming children, especially as we amass wealth to provide for them, destabilizing and denuding the world they will inherit. If we have an obligation to protect children from harm, and if climate disruption is manifestly harmful to them, then we have an obligation to expend extraordinary effort to prevent its worst effects. That's on us, people. We got to take care of the kids and the future, the 7th generation yet to come. And here's the third: we must act because all flourishing is mutual. Ecological science, ancient wisdom, and almost all the religions of the world tell us that life is interconnected. Humans are shaped and nourished by intricate relationships with air, climate, animals, soil, sun. Accordingly, human life is utterly dependent on the thriving of other beings and the stability of other systems. And anyone who professes to care about humans but not about nature is profoundly misguided. If we have an obligation to protect human thriving, then we have an obligation to protect the thriving of all parts of the systems on which we depend, the operating system, Mother Earth itself. And we have an obligation to protect all the parts of the systems on which we depend, from the smallest ecosystem to the grandest workings of time and wind. And in this upstart spring, may this be a glimmering of our movement from the caterpillar stage into the essential metamorphosis that we are all facing as children and people on planet Earth, and for the 7th generation yet to come. So with that little bit of understanding, may we have a good, happy, upstart spring, and may you enjoy with loved ones and friends nature itself and the beauty of all life. Peace.